Column guards are easy and fast to install. It is one of the best things that these items have, but not the only feature. Overall, the reason that most people get this item is to protect their pallet racks from damage. Specifically, the damage done by an errant vehicle such as a forklift or a pallet jack. Of course, there are limits to this protection. Yet, rack stands a much better chance of surviving if it makes use of these protections devices than if it does not. What does the column guard do, specifically? It is designed to take impacts from the pallet racks or pallet jacks. It takes the impact so that the pallet rack does not have to do so. The effect of this behavior means that your pallet rack is far less likely to take damage that can destabilize it over time. You do not have to replace it, and you may not have an accident that will cause an injury. How does it work? A column guard, in essence, wraps around a pallet rack. It should be placed strategically on a pallet rack. Why? It is because the placement is very important. If it is not placed where a pallet rack takes an impact, then it cannot do its job. You can, however, choose to cover your whole pallet rack with column guards. But this action can be cost prohibitive. Honestly, most businesses choose to make use of a few column guards rather than using a scheme where the entire structure is covered. Most have 2 per level. Sometimes they only have 2, 1 for each side. Subsequently, the choice of how you want to set up your rack protection is entirely up to you and your risk tolerance levels. Customers often ask how often do these come with defects, and the answer is not very often at all. Honestly, a column guard is fairly easy to understand. Moreover, it is an easy to implement system as well. It is what it sounds like for the most part. It is a metal covering your pallet rack. Yet, there are more sophisticated versions available. You can find proprietary systems that include things like rubber and also things like void spaces to optimize the ability of a column guard to do its job. The choice of what you will use is entirely up to you. But the question of defects relates to which one you choose as well. A standard column guard is hard to get wrong because it is a simple piece of equipment. Keep in mind that just because it's simple in theory, that it does not mean it is specially designed to do what you need it to do. You cannot slap a metal cover over your rack and have the same results. The science and specifics behind the design you will have are not the same unless you are using a specially dedicated engineer. If not that type of engineer, then you will have to have some other specialist who understands the design challenges of developing such a protection item. Also, it will not look good to an inspector if they go to inspect your pallet racks and the safety of those racks unless it is professionally designed and meets the standards set forth by your local government. You are better off buying your protection unless you have the right person to design your column guards correctly and in code with your local regulations. How many sheets of metal is a column guard? The answer is that, in most cases, it is a single sheet of metal. Unless you opt for the more proprietary versions, which are far more sophisticated and are, generally, much more likely to survive a contact between a forklift and the device. The choice comes down to how often do you want to replace your column guard if and when it takes a collision. If you want to, always check with your engineer to check the stability of your rack and the efficacy of your column guard. Have a column guard that will survive more than one collision, then a proprietary model is probably what you need. If you do not mind replacing your column guard after each contact, then a standard column guard version will do the job just fine.